Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Joe. You're watching Shooting Gallery. Today is a very special video. We're going to be doing it a little bit different than we usually do these types of videos. Yes, this is going on YouTube. We are going to be showing you how, start to finish, to completely Duracoat your 1911. This is the pretty much last video in the build series of the BRN1911. Big shout out to Brownells for wanting to help support this channel and provide the BRN1911 that we're using. Check them out, links in the description. They're all over social media. If you use that link, it does help us out with a little bit of a kickback, and it shows Brownells that you guys are watching and enjoying this type of content. Now, a lot of it's going to be voiceover content explaining the process of Duracoating. Big thanks to Walter Keller of Safety Harbor Firearms for letting me use the shop to do this little finishing project. This took me a good minute to do because it's the first time I've actually used Duracoat. A little bit of background on me: I'm a gunsmith of 5 years, went to Sonora Desert Institute, got my associate's degree in firearms technology. I was a painter for 10 years where I did actual custom cabinetry and had to work with stuff like lacquer and different paint compounds. Duracoat was a little bit more of a learning curve for me because I've never used it before. If you don't want to actually Duracoat or like apply a finish yourself, I would recommend going to someone like Liberty Bell Firearms. They do sponsor the Shooting in the Woods podcast. You can actually save a good amount of discount. You can check that out and link in the description, and he can take care of it for you. But if you're like a do-it-yourself type of guy, this video is for you. We have it done. We're going to show you the up close once we kind of get through the painting portion of this. But let's go ahead, get into the video, and again, big thanks to Brownells. I hope you enjoy.
We're going to first make sure this video, the firearm, is clear, and we're going to drop the magazine here and make sure it is clear and it's in the chamber. All right, awesome. We're going to go ahead and start disassembling this. For this particular 1911, you're going to need a 9/64 Allen head, and we're going to unscrew that. This is a special two-piece guide rod that Stealth Arms makes, but I'm going ahead and just taking this out here. The point of Duracoating, and we're going to put this in a sandblaster and degrease everything, is we want to make sure that every single part is off of the 1911. So right now I'm taking out the barrel bushing and spring, pretty much the whole recoil assembly, and I'm putting this little parts tray here. Hopefully you can hear this over. This is a new type of video style that I am doing. Got the takedown latch off, the upper, lower. We're going to start with the upper because it's typically the easiest. So I just take the guide rod and spring out. Then from there I take the barrel bushing and the barrel out of the gun. One thing I would recommend is that you do wear safety glasses as you're doing this, because some stuff is out of spring tension. The sights are not on this slide. It looks kind of rough, but again, we're going to sandblast it and you're not going to notice any of these blemishes. Now I'm looking right now because when you're taking the back plate off of a 1911, you need some type of cylindrical punch, and yeah, I'm looking for one right now, and I don't know why I can't find it, but there you go. Look, I found some type of Allen key. I can just depress the firing pin, and it gives me enough leverage to take the back plate off. You remove the firing pin and remove the spring as well. Then all I got to do now is take the extractor, making sure I keep that firing pin and spring together so I don't misplace it. Once I pried the extractor out, the slide is essentially removed and ready to be sandblasted. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to the lower receiver of this. This is the actual Brownells portion. Again, big shout out to Brownells, and I truly appreciate all their help. So we're going to use, I believe this is a 3/32 inch Allen key to get the bushings off. Some 1911s have flathead screws. This has an Allen key. If you're interested in swapping it over to make it easier, because most of the time people are going to have a flathead screwdriver on them over a Allen key, and we're going to go ahead and remove these screws. But you can go to like Wilson Combat or Ed Brown. They have flathead screws available to swap it out on your 1911. Now, I have not Loctited any of this, so because I knew I was going to be sandblasting it. One thing I do recommend when you are starting to take stuff apart, especially when you refinish it, you still want to be very cautious. You do not want to strip these screws out. Now, one thing that I find is very easy as I'm doing is putting the screws back into the grips just to kind of keep everything maintained. Now these grip bushings, I will say, are a little bit easier to remove, and I obviously had the wrong Allen key in for a second. We're going to go ahead and remove those as well. These are actually the only things you need a Allen key for, other than the front bushing if your guide rod asks for it, and the grip panels. The rest you can pretty much... Oh, and you could use a smaller Allen key for the magazine release. So this is the portion where you actually can get a specialty tool to remove these. I do not have one, so I was very, very careful without boogering up my grip panel bushings for the lower part of this. You can do it with a flathead screwdriver. I don't recommend it. Brownells sells a tool that is essentially a screwdriver, but it's specifically made for 1911 grip bushings. If you are in the market for one, definitely pick it up. Most of the time you don't need to get one, just because it's very rare to change bushings out. As long as you properly Loctite this stuff, you should be fine. But Brownells has 1911 specific tools, especially for, say, installing the plunger safety spring, and also installing your grip panels. Check out Brownells. Use code BOP10 for 10% off your orders of $150 or more. Trust me, it saves you a lot of money. I use it personally. It's not my personal code, but it's just for a lot of social media guys. So now that I got that out, as I got everything else pretty much out, we're going to go ahead and believe from this point on you want to make sure everything is out. So you got to take the mainspring housing out. It's literally just get a punch and get it out. Sometimes it's under a lot of spring tension, so you need to use a little bit of a hammer, but for some reason I am focusing on doing the magazine release, which you need the trigger out to get the magazine release out, I believe. Now that I got the right size Allen key, we're going to be removing the magazine release. You got a little bit of tension to get this little lever. It's like an L-shaped lever that holds the magazine release in, but I was able to get the magazine release out. Do not fully disassemble. There's a lot of small parts in the magazine release that you don't want to lose. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the thumb safety out, and I've already lost the plunger safety spring, so I will not be removing it. At this point, when I was filming this video, I had the new one in the box. I just didn't take it out because I didn't want to lose it. So now I popped out the mainspring housing. pin, and I slid the mainspring housing out. So from there I have everything out. I can take the beaver tail safety off. I can take pretty much everything, but again, this smooth-sided mainspring housing, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle because, one, my hands are sweaty as all hell. I decided to take this apart after a full day's worth of work. I got the beaver tail safety out. Now at this point, the mainspring housing will slide right out. Take the mainspring out, and now I got to get the hammer and the sear as well out of the gun, which only is going to take a small punch. And looks like I've already cut myself while I'm doing this. Look at that nice. There you go. Get that right out of there. Now we're going to pop the pin that holds the hammer and the sear and disconnector in. And then the only thing I don't take out in this video is the extractor. The ejector, sorry, because it's a very small pin. I didn't want to booger up the pin. Take the trigger out. This looks all jacked up. Don't worry. Before I reassembled, it was taken apart. But now one thing what I'm looking for right now is the plunger safety tube. That is something you want to be concerned about. You don't want to get media involved. So I took a Q-tip with some pliers, and I cut off both ends to block up that hole because, one, I did not want to get spray paint in there or Duracoat, and I did not want to get sandblast media in there as well. So what this is a little trick. You just get a Q-tip. You want to make sure everything's all hunky-dory and get that all in there. Go in from the rear, which I'm realizing that this ain't working. I had a piece of the plunger safety spring assembly in there, so I had to pop that out. So now we're going to push this pretty much all the way to the front, and this actually does work. So when you're sandblasting, you're not going to get that media in there and get it all gunked up. So I cut that, and now this is pretty much ready for Duracoat and sandblast. Before you want to put this into the sandblasting cabinet, we're going to go ahead and spray this with brake cleaner underneath a very full trash can. This was a working shop. Big shout out to Safety Harbor Firearms when we used to shop. So yeah, I'm just spraying this with brake cleaner. We have a little bit of an appearance of the one Safety Harbor Firearms. I think he's showing me something with a gun that he's building at the moment. And but I'm just spraying this down with brake cleaner. Yes, you should be wearing gloves, but the thing with brake cleaner, it breaks down rubber gloves. It will just dissolve it. As long as you wash your hands thoroughly after with some release agent, you should be fine. So we just got the lower all set. This is just you can get these sprayers off Harbor Freight. So we're going to be spraying the slide as well. And again, this is just degreasing any oils from my hands over the past couple months of just building this gun, getting into the nooks and crannies. Brake cleaner, and it evaporates fairly quickly. So we're going to go ahead and get over to the sandblasting cabinet. Going to the sandblasting cabinet, we're pretty much just going to be, it's going to be hard to see. So what we're doing is we're just going to be putting this stuff in here. We're using silicon carbide. So what we're doing is just going to place it in there, make sure everything's all nice and well. So now what I'm doing right here is we're actually just starting to sandblast and messing with the camera, make sure everything's all set. But pretty much what you want to do, guys, when you're sandblasting stuff, you're wanting to look at the raw aluminum or raw steel, whatever metal you're working with, and then you want to just kind of rough it all up. Silicon carbide is a very abrasive compound, not like glass bead or some other media that you use in a sandblasting cabinet. From here, I'm just kind of keeping it very low to the grate because there's a lot of dust that comes up. I would recommend wearing safety glasses as I'm wearing here. Again, making sure that the camera is on. Sorry if the audio is a little bit messed up here. It's a working shop. I'm trying to counteract a machine going, a compressor, and then machines in the background. So there's a lot going on in the shop. But we're just spraying it down, and you're going to see me in a second kind of wipe the excess. It's pretty much a sandstorm in there, so you really have to like focus on what you're looking at and be aware of stuff. It's a lot of safety stuff that gets involved. There's a lot of ventilation in a sandblasting cabinet, but just be aware of that when you are doing it. So I'm holding it up to the glass, making sure I'm not missing any parts of the 1911 slide, because if I miss something, it's not going to have the best finish in anything, whether you're painting a house, painting a car. Your work is shown in the prep work of the piece. The prep work is what makes the finished product shine. And as you'll see later on in this video, you're going to see that the prep work was worth it. Sandblasting is the best way to do it. And so I'm going to go ahead. I keep looking back on the camera, making sure I'm recording because I'm always so self-conscious. But I'm moving on to the frame, but we're going to go ahead and skip ahead to show you what it looks like after you're done sandblasting the slide and frame on your BRN1911. So once I open up the cabinet, there's going to be a little bit of dust. That's why I made a little bit of a cough. It's always so fun. So since we are dealing with some, I'm trying to counteract this. I have like 4 fans on me at this point. So this is what it's looking like. Now, this is why I recommend having an air hose handy so you can spray out all this excess dust, because you don't want that dust counteracting with the Duracoat. And I should be wearing a dust mask here, but I'm not. This is the one part, but that's what it looks like. It's very, you can tell it's very raw, gets out any blemishes. This is also the frame. I'm gonna go ahead and use the air hose and spray this out so there's no dust when I go to spray paint everything. But from here, I pretty much am all set, and then I go ahead and degrease again before. Now that I have it all set up in the spray booth, this is a very nice spray booth. It's hanging out, so you don't really want it. You can just hold it by the hooks. Spray Tech is the spray booth. This has been used very thoroughly. Using a Duracoat, look at that. That is the tactical gray that we're using. You got to shake this very well, because that's what's going to get all the actual paint going. And then what it also, you have to add the hardener in there. My first try, I didn't, so I had to actually redo this. And we're using a small sprayer that controls the power. Let's check it out. Shaking the Duracoat up is actually very important, because it's mixing. If you're mixing a paint can too, or a spray paint can, same premise. You want to get all that stuff from the bottom, and we're going to be mixing this up. So what I don't show you is me adding the hardener, because I thought it actually applied like a spray coat or like a clear coat that you spray on cabinets, because that was my background, and I never had to add hardener to the lacquer that we sprayed. So what you don't see is me mixing it in, but it's usually about a 1-to-1, and putting in a little airbrush kit that you can get from Harbor Freight or Home Depot. And this, I'm just making sure. Okay, yeah, is this working? You also want to lower the PSI on your air gun, because if you put 120 psi through that little tiny hose, it's going to blow up, which it did. I had to end up having to replace this for Walter. Again, big thanks to Walter for letting me use this. This spray booth also has built-in ventilation, and there is a widely ventilated shop. When you're spraying paint, guys, use a respirator. With the amount of psi that's coming out of this, I didn't really need it because I didn't get anything back in there. So we're going to go ahead and move on. So after I test the paint to make sure that it's coming out, all right, cool. This has a lot of PSI coming out of it. So, but I was able to get the proper amount. I'm trying to make sure that I show this on camera as best as possible, because some of the things I will have to hold. So we're going to focus in here, and let me see me very badly move the camera around. So I'm going to spray this, and it's applying the finish. So it doesn't come out well on the screen, but it is applying the finish. All in the nooks and crannies. I always say I can spray the testicles on a fly without getting its wings wet. Alright, now the paint's coming through. Nice even strokes. You don't want to have runs coming out your sprayer. Typically this is a 1-coat deal, unless you mess up like I did, and I had to give it 2 coats because I had to re-sandblast the whole thing. But then that's nice and even. Don't go too fast. Don't stay in one spot for too long. That's the key in spraying any type of finish like that. You don't see this because my fat arm is in the way, but I'm just getting down where the mainspring housing is. And again, guys, this ventilation system in the spray booth is phenomenal. I actually didn't smell any of it really. Like, you smell it, but I'd recommend you wearing a mask when you do this because, again, my father also has suffered from COPD, and he came from the part of the 80s where masks were not a thing, or they just didn't wear it. They didn't know the dangers of this, but again, you can see this stuff is getting ventilated right up and out into the ventilation system with 2 large garage doors. So please make sure, just to be safe, wear a mask. I usually just lift my shirt up as I'm spraying just to kind of help. You want to get an actual like 3M rated sprayer, and it's coming out very well. I'm focusing on this, taking my time, making sure I'm not missing anything. The frame is pretty intricate. You want to make sure you hit all the nooks and crannies. Hanging that up there. That's what it's looking like. Came out very well. At this point, I think it actually almost falls off. Yep, there you go. It almost fell off the hook. Trying to get what the finished product looks like. Probably missed a spot here. Like, oh wow, I can't believe I missed that. Just the whole inside of the 1911. So at this point, I'm pretty much all set. I'm a little bit too thorough when I spray stuff like this because I want to make sure that I get a good coat on there. So I go ahead and move on to the slide, which I have to point because clearly, you know, the slide and frame are the same thing, but I have to distinguish it. So I'm making sure I get enough in my cup at the moment. I believe at this point I am adding more of the paint in there. Yep, there you go. I'm shaking it up, make sure it's all set. And I will say, that has a good amount of swing on it. This frame has been swinging back and forth for like the past 30 seconds, and it had some stank on it. So what I'm pretty much doing is what you can't see me doing is I'm just filling more of the Duracoat up to show, to make sure I have enough. The only downside of the first time I did this, I had way too much PSI, so I used a little bit more than usual. So I'm making sure you guys can see what I'm doing. And look at that. That looks beautiful. And all that spray is getting sent right into the ventilation system out back, and those filters in the back. And something Walter might have walked by and said something. Making sure I get even passes, make sure I don't miss anything. And if you guys are liking this video, please do me a favor, smash the like button, comment down below. This is a very long video that you're watching today. It took me about probably 9 hours just to film this whole deal and do the voiceover. If you like this voiceover stuff, comment down below. So yeah, making sure I'm getting all the nice even passes. I'm not missing anything. This isn't as intricate as the frame, but it is coming out pretty sweet. And in the front of the slide, there's a little bit of spot where I was like, that's kind of heavy. And I ended up again re-sandblasting this whole thing to make sure it looked great. So from there, this is pretty much what you're supposed to do. I don't really want to show the drying part because who wants to watch paint dry? So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to skip ahead to the finished product, and we're going to go ahead and close this video out. I want to thank you guys so much for watching to this portion of it, and we're going to go ahead and close this video out. I doubt you guys want to watch paint dry. If you do, that's not what this video is. This is just an overview of how to Duracoat a 1911 start to finish. So we're going to go ahead and kind of skip forward a bit.
So after all that work that we did, we have the finished project. I can't show you exactly how I did a lot of stuff. I'm trying to play within the YouTube rules throughout this entire video, but this is the finished product of the BRN1911. Now, as you've been following through the entire series, this is a BRN1911 frame built on a Stealth Arms parts kit. This is a 5-inch government barrel. Now, it has Novak style sights. I did install the sights. One thing I can't show you what I did was when I got this off the Duracoat, you had to do a little bit more hand fitting to get the slide and all that stuff. But I think this came out absolutely wonderful. Next, we're going to do test fire and final kind of conclusion of this build series. Thank you guys so much for watching. I think it came out great. If you have any questions, comment below. Check out Brownells, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.